In the quiet hills of ancient Bethlehem, where the morning sun painted the fields in gold, a young shepherd named David spent his days watching over his father's sheep. With nothing but a wooden staff and a leather sling, he protected his flock from the dangers of the wild. He was young, unnoticed, and ordinary in every way, yet inside him lived a courage far greater than anyone around him could see. While the world saw a shepherd boy, God saw something more. Day after day, David trained alone in the fields. He practiced with his sling, sending stones flying with astonishing accuracy. He learned the sounds of the wind, the footsteps of predators, and the quiet voice of God that stirred inside him. His courage didn't come from strength, but from faith. But far from David's peaceful hills, a shadow hung over the nation of Israel. Their army stood trembling on the edges of the valley of Elah, facing a terrifying enemy. The Philistines had sent out their greatest warrior, a giant named Goliath. 9 feet tall, armored like a moving fortress, with a voice that shook the valley like thunder. Every morning and every evening, he stepped forward to mock Israel, shouting, "Send me a man to fight. If he wins, we will serve you. But if he falls, you will serve us." For 40 days, no one dared to face him. One morning, David's father asked him to carry food to his brothers who served in the army. David agreed gladly, unaware that this simple task would lead him into destiny. When he arrived at the battlefield, he found the soldiers hiding in fear. At that moment, Goliath stepped forward again, roaring out his challenge. David watched as the men of Israel trembled. But instead of fear, something else rose in David's heart, something fierce and holy. He asked the soldiers, "Who is this giant who dares to insult the armies of the living God?" His brothers scolded him, telling him to go home. But David refused to stay silent. Word reached King Saul, and soon David stood before him. Saul looked at this young shepherd and said, "You are only a boy. You cannot fight this giant." But David answered, "When a lion came to take one of my sheep, I chased it down and struck it. When a bear rose against me, I rescued the lamb from its jaws. God protected me then, and he will protect me now." Hearing this, Saul was moved. He handed David his own armor, the armor of a king. But when David tried to walk in it, the weight was too great, the metal too heavy. He removed it and said, "I cannot fight with this. God will be my strength." So David walked into the valley with nothing but his sling, his staff, and the quiet confidence that the God of Israel walked beside him. He stopped by a small stream and chose 5 smooth stones, placing them carefully into his pouch. Then, with a steady heart, he stepped onto the battlefield. Goliath saw him and burst into mocking laughter. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? Come closer, boy, and I will crush you." But David's voice did not shake as he replied, "You come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of Israel, whom you have defied." In that instant, the valley fell silent. David reached into his pouch, drew out a stone, and placed it in his sling. He began to spin it, once, twice, 3 times, each rotation faster than the last. The giant lifted his shield, confident and unafraid. But David did not hesitate. He released the sling. The stone flew with divine precision, slicing through the air until it struck Goliath square in the forehead. The giant staggered, eyes wide with shock. His great armor rattled as he fell forward, crashing to the ground with a thunder that echoed through the valley. And just like that, the giant was gone. Israel erupted in shouts of triumph. The Philistines turned in terror and fled the battlefield. The boy who stood alone was now the hero of a nation. When the victory settled, King Saul approached David, astonished. "Who are you?" he asked. David replied simply, "I am David, son of Jesse, a shepherd of Bethlehem." But this was only the beginning. From that day on, the world would never forget the shepherd who trusted God more than fear. The boy who stood before a giant and saw him not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity for God to reveal his power. The story of David and Goliath reminds us that no matter how small we feel or how impossible the battle looks, faith can turn ordinary people into champions. And with God on our side, even the greatest giants can fall.